Testing. Hoping this works. Need to make sure it does. This is only week 2 of doing it on this laptop, so we got to make sure this works properly. That says it's working. That's always a good start. All right. Cool. And let's go over here. What's up in between the lanes? I got my chat up here now. I can see it up here now. I put it in the right position this week. Last week it was blocked by... So the setup is this here. It's my laptop. That is what is recording me. Behind me, I have a monitor. I think that's what it's called. And that's where I have my background going on, where I have the streaming software. I've got the comments up here. Usually I have to look at my phone, but I think I can make it without looking at my phone this week because I set it up where I can see the chat. So hello in between the lanes. Paint schemes. I haven't thought about paint schemes this week. I did it last week, but I did not think ahead. Let me just tweet this out real quick. And we are almost ready. Hey, speaking of fantasy in between the lanes, guess who won this week's race? That's right, it was me. I finally won a race. I looked up this fantasy standing, saw I moved up a place, and figured I had a good week and looked it up, and I won the race this week. So, good job me, I guess. But, yeah, I hope you guys are doing good. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good Monday. But now that this is all situated, it looks like everything's working properly. It looks like we can officially move and start talking about Pocono. The party in the Poconos 400. I know it's not officially called that anymore, but I still like to call it that. So, anyways, Pocono. Yes, let's get on it. Let's talk about Pocono. One of my favorite tracks, honestly. It's just such a unique track. If you guys watched my SVG recap, just talking about the uniqueness of the track, talking about the different lengths of the straightaways. All 3 turns are completely different. Yeah, it's tough to pass and whatnot, but it's a fun track. I just really enjoy it. And the racing's not always great, but it's had its moments. You look at last year, the whole Larson-Denny thing. You just look at them fan out 5 and 6 wide. You see them go all the way to the apron. I guess, can you technically call that the apron? On the front stretch when they get into the paint there. But yeah, I've just always liked Pocono. I hope you guys have the same sentiment that I do. But I know people obviously have different opinions on things. Let's see here. Speaking of paint schemes, any paint schemes you like? Yeah, that's what I was trying to think through. I did not like the 11s this week. I like their Mavis paint scheme at the beginning of the season, to be completely honest with you, but they keep changing it, and it feels like it gets worse every time, so they're regressing on their paint schemes. But I love the Raptor, the high heat on William Byron's car. I hate the normal Raptor, the puke green. But when they do the high heat flames or whatever, it kind of reminds me of the classic 24 look. And also, like, from a distance, it kind of reminds me of the Drive to End Hunger with the red 24. So some Jeff Gordon sentiment there. But as for other paint schemes, just quickly thinking, the peach, Busch Light Peach for Ross Chastain, that's a good part-time look for sure. Trying to think if there was some one-offs. I mean, there was nothing really crazy. I'm just trying to think of which ones. But anyways, those are a couple right off the top of my head. Obviously, I told you the one I didn't like, but I guess I could look through the final results here. Alex Bowman, the dogs, what I don't even know what it's called, the Allied Dog Association, the Save the Pets. That was a nice looking paint scheme. Just going through here, trying to see if there's any that pop off the top of my head. Yeah, I see the comment on Boot Barn for Austin Dillon. Yeah, that was a new one. That was unique. The 44 was a bright yellow this week with ollies. But yeah, okay, back to the comments. Hello, David. Missed that comment. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. Home Run Derby tonight. Yes, that is why I wore this hat. Adolis Garcia is in the Home Run Derby tonight. The All-Star Weekend is here at Arlington. I guess it's in the DFW area. I'm close enough. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, so we get to host the All-Star game this year right off of a World Series win, so things are going well. Marcus Semien, I think Corey Seager got called up last minute to be All-Stars, and then obviously Garcia in the Home Run Derby tonight, so should be fun. Hopefully Garcia wins it. If not, it's all right. He's got a championship ring, so he can make up for it. Or he's got something to make up for it if he doesn't win it. More bad luck for Rowdy Busch. Yeah, man. As I said yesterday, what else can go wrong, man? I keep waiting for him to kind of pick it back up and consistent. I'm to the point where I'm questioning if they get a win, which I feel like if I'm only questioning, like I feel a lot more people are beyond that. But yeah, man, what else could go wrong? I keep waiting for them to turn it around, for the luck to start to go their way. You know, it's bound to turn on you in a good way, you know, but that's just not the case. It's continuously been bad for him, and it all started at Gateway, really, the wreck at Gateway. And then the next week at Sonoma, Kyle Busch having a top 5 run, gets spun on the last lap, and then he runs out of gas coming through 11. Then the week after Sonoma was Iowa. They have a mechanical failure while running in the top 10, top 15. Then at New Hampshire, they wreck like 3 times. And then at Nashville, they're actually having a good run again, but then it's the first time in NASCAR history we go to 5 overtimes and he gets wrecked out of the top 5 because Larson runs out of gas. And then at Chicago, what happened at Chicago? I don't even know, but they didn't do good enough. I can tell you that. And then this week at Pocono, nothing went right. Once again, they had steering issues in practice. They qualified horribly. And then on the grid, there's an oil leak. I mean, that ruined their day. They had a backup steering column or steering whatever. Now they got to fix an oil line. They barely make it to the grid in the nick of time. And then all of a sudden, the car sucks and you're getting absolutely obliterated by Corey LaJoie. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong for that team. I'm waiting for the week that they put it together and like they actually have winning speed, because they're going to be leading by like 4 seconds on the last lap and something's going to happen, man. Literally nothing has gone right for that team except for maybe Vegas when they led 30 laps in the spring. That's about the only positive I can take away from this year. Even Kansas when they got a top 5. He spun out late in that race. So nothing can go wrong for him. And they got a third car in the field this week, and I don't know why. But RCR's in shambles right now. I mean, they're having leadership changes. Both cars are running horribly. Both cars are probably going to miss the playoffs unless a miracle comes at Daytona. If we're being realistic, that's what it's going to take, is a win at Daytona. Can you imagine if Austin Dillon wins at Daytona and Kyle Busch misses the playoffs, but Austin Dillon makes it? That would be mind-boggling. We'll look at the points here in a minute, and it would be just absolutely ridiculous. But could you imagine? Like, that would just be absurd. But, yeah, who said that? In between the lanes. Yeah, more bad luck for Kyle Busch. What else could go wrong this season? It feels like everything else could go wrong. But Kyle Busch, what a terrible 2024. Worst year of his career by far. The win streak is very much in jeopardy if it wasn't already. How about Team Penske? Which manufacturer will win Indianapolis? Asks Jamie Switzer. Apologies if I pronounced that wrong. But great question and great point about Team Penske. I mean, just a few weeks ago, 7-8 weeks ago, we were asking, is Ford going to win a race this year? Now we, eventually got realistic. We said, yes, they're going to win a race this year, but when's it going to happen? And at the time, I kind of looked at Darlington like, they've run good there before, maybe Darlington. But then I kind of looked down the line and I was like, man, I don't really see where Ford could win. And then all of a sudden, it's turned on its head. Ford wins at Darlington. They win the All-Star race. They win at Gateway. They win at not New Hampshire. They win at Iowa. They win here at Pocono. I mean, a variety of tracks. And they're not just lucking into wins. They're doing it on raw speed. Ryan Blaney had top 5 speed yesterday. He dominated Iowa. Even though Austin Cindric didn't lead the most laps, Blaney kind of led the most laps at Iowa, or at a St. Louis Gateway. But Cindric was in the top 5 all day. Joey Logano won at Nashville. And no, he wasn't the fastest there, but he's shown top 5 speed at times. Look at, Pocono. He finished in the top 5. But Team Penske and Ford as a whole have really turned it around. And even before Darlington, Chris Buescher, runner-up at Kansas. Where else did they run good at? Texas. Brad Keselowski had a runner-up at Texas. So they've kind of had these flashes, but it's not until the summer stretch that Ford has really turned it on in a sense. And as a whole right now, it seems like Ford is kind of better than Chevy. If you look at deep into their ranks, because Chevy right now, it's Hendrick, and then it's a big fall off. RCR is nowhere close to race winning speed. Trackhouse really isn't close to race winning speed right now. I know they won a race with Suarez, but that was at a super speedway. But outside of that, man, Chevy struggled. I mean, it's been Hendrick and then a big drop-off to everyone else, whereas Ford, RFK has won a race. Team Penske's won multiple races. SHR has shown flashes of speed at times. You look at Josh Berry at the short tracks, Chase Briscoe every once in a while, Noah Gragson every once in a while. But front row has looked good. I mean, it seems like Ford has more depth right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Love your sarcastic presentation in your videos. Yeah, sometimes I got to be sarcastic because if I'm not sarcastic, I'll seriously say something and then it'll end up being probably mean, or I'll say something I shouldn't say. So at the end of the day, it's better that I'm sarcastic than mean, I guess. But I appreciate the compliment. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoy the content, Jamie. The Polar Bear winning the Home Run Derby. I'm a very casual MLB fan. Outside of the Rangers, I couldn't tell you much. So, sorry about that in between the lanes. Will Dale Jr. buy into RCR? Could that allude to the big changes that RCR Austin Dillon has alluded to? No, I don't think so. I mean, technically, it's a possibility, but no, I don't see it. I think just management will change. Maybe they'll switch crew chiefs. I honestly, when Austin Dillon said that, I thought he meant that they were going to go after maybe Rodney Childers, but it appears that is not the case, as Childers is off to Spire. But I'd expect them just to change the management. Maybe not Richard Childress, but, change the competition director. It'll be someone new. Change the, change the vice president, change something else. Maybe this is it. Maybe Austin Dillon indeed is not going to drive anymore, but it does not appear to be pointing that way. But I'm curious to see what RCR has to do, or what their major changes are that Austin Dillon is teasing, if that's the right word. I want to see Busch and Truex Jr. at least win a race or two, says In Between the Lanes. I mean, for sure. I mean, Truex for sure, because it's his last season. Kyle Busch would really be cool to see him add to his historic streak of winning one race per year. But Kyle Busch, it does not seem like it's going to happen right now. I mean, that team is just, as I said earlier, in shambles. Nothing is going right for him. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, nothing's going wrong for them. But Truex, I mean, they've shown winning speed this year. They're top 5 in the regular season points. They should have a win at Kansas. They should have a win at Richmond. I think they should have 3. I think I'm forgetting a third. But, yeah, man, Truex will get a win this year. Kyle Busch, though, that's a little bit more debatable. 2 more wins, and Joey passes Truex and Cousin Carl for wins. Well, yeah, Joey Logano's got a longer career than Truex and Carl, obviously. Truex, obviously, Logano was ahead of him, and then Truex passed him back. So Truex for sure. I mean, unless Truex goes on like a 10-race win streak to end the season, and then Joey Logano never wins again or only wins a race a year for the rest of his career. So Joey's going to pass Carl, that's no question. Truex, he'll most likely, unless, as I said, Truex goes on some insane streak here. But yeah, Joey Logano, I don't know if he wins a race again this year. If it does, I'd look at Richmond, I'd look at Martinsville, I'd look at the short tracks, but I don't know if he wins another race this year, just to be brutally honest. But if it does, as I said, it's going to be a short track or a super speedway. Top 10 for Truex at his home track. Yeah, one of his 30 home tracks. But Truex seemed to be the favorite at times. He had really good long run speed in practice. He had top 5 qualifying speed. And then obviously that first stage, he runs second the entire time, and then he passes Ty Gibbs after Gibbs has the bad restart. And then Truex ends up going on to win the stage. And it's like, okay, Truex showed up and he ran away from the field for a bit. So, Truex, he came to play. After that, we never saw from him again in terms of race-winning speed. He just kind of sat in the back half of the top 10 and ends up finishing 8th here. So definitely disappointing, I would say, actually. I expected him to have race-winning speed at Pocono, one of his better tracks. He's got a couple wins there. JGR really good at the intermediate style tracks. I know Pocono, mile-wise, is a super speedway, but it races like an intermediate. And just, yeah, man, just disappointing, I would say, in terms of their final result, but they at times show the speed. I don't know. Well, Jamie, firstly, thank you for the, what do they call these things? What do they call these things? The super chat things. I appreciate it, very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think you're the first person to ever do this on a live stream. So, Jamie, you get the gold star. You are the first person to ever do a live super chat on the live stream. I appreciate it very much. But will the Olympic break cause April NASCAR births? Okay. I think I know what you're referencing here. All right. So let me do some math here. So let's see. It's July/August. Let's call it August. So August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Okay. This was not a topic I thought I'd be discussing today, but it was asked, and there was a very generous donation to the channel, I guess we can call it. So I don't know how to properly answer this question. Sure, it's possible. It's always possible, but Ricky Stenhouse Jr. had a baby a couple weeks ago, so it could a lot of these drivers are married, a lot of these drivers are young, and they're in that time of their life where they grow their family. So yeah, now that they have a little bit more off time and not at the racetrack and as stressed, maybe. Your guess is as good as mine, but well, I did not expect to be talking about this topic for as long as I did. But once again, I appreciate Jamie, the as I called it earlier, the donation to the channel, if we want to call it that. I don't know what the proper terminology is. I'm new at this thing, man. I'm really new. So once again, though, thank you to Jamie. Let's see, back up here. One bad finish in the Mavis colors for Denny Hamlin, Roval 2023. I'm having trouble remembering what happened at the Roval 2023 at all. I know Allmendinger won the race, but other than that, what happened in that race, I could not tell you. I couldn't even tell you where Denny Hamlin finished. Give me a second. Let's see. 2023. Charlotte Roval. All right. I was correct. AJ Allmendinger won. William Byron second. Kyle Busch third. Okay. Denny Hamlin. Ryan Preece finished 11th. Austin Dillon 14th. My goodness. Corey LaJoie 17th. Oh, we're going to talk about him in a minute. I'm Still scrolling, no Denny, so, well. Denny finished last. I don't know if he wrecked or had a mechanical failure, but Denny finished last in that race. Once again, I couldn't tell you what happened in that race because I genuinely don't remember it. So, apologies. Did you watch the Indianapolis Brickyard 400 2017? That was crazy. Yeah, David, that was a crazy one. I remember exactly where I was. I was with someone. I was at someone's house or something. I was watching it on my phone. And I thought it would be over by the time dinner was ready, but it was not because it turned into a crash fest at the end, and they had a bunch of red flags, fluid all over the racetrack. Jimmy Johnson wrecking himself while his motor was blowing up. I mean, that was a crazy race. And on top of that, everyone remembers the finish, and everyone still talks about it a little bit. But when Truex and Kyle Busch dominated that race, and they finally were allowed to race each other, the first turn of stage 3 that the team came over the radio and said, yeah, guys, yeah, you can race each other. Go for it. They kill each other. They just completely obliterate each other's cars into the wall. Both guys done. They finished last and second to last, or 34th, 35th, whatever it was. What? I mean, come on, man. I mean, that was crazy. I mean, you can't tell me that wasn't crazy. So, yeah, man, that was a crazy race. Casey Kane's final Cup victory could not have come in any crazier fashion. Yeah, so yeah, I do remember that. So we'll talk about the Brickyard later on here. For now, we're going to talk about Pocono a little bit longer, and then we will eventually get to the Brickyard. But I'm very excited for the Brickyard 400 if you guys did not see my post this morning. Very, very excited. I love the Brickyard 400, man. I love Indianapolis, the history of it. I'm a big fan if you didn't know. Do you dislike LaJoie or no? I don't dislike LaJoie. I dislike the move he made yesterday. So, Corey LaJoie has had we've talked about him, especially last week with the announcement that Rodney Childers was going to be his crew chief. We talked about Corey LaJoie. We said, all right, man, this is it. This is Corey LaJoie's chance next year. Like, if he can't do it next year, like, that might be it. But I talked about it. Corey LaJoie has had his flashes. But the problem is, the majority of those flashes of potential have come on the super speedways. He has a lot of top 5 finishes. He's led some laps. Came close to a win at Atlanta a couple years ago. But outside of that, he gets the occasional top 20. But Hocevar, with how well Hocevar has done at Spire this year, has really opened my eyes. It was either last year or 2022 that LaJoie had a really good year. But this year has been a struggle for him. It's not been a great year. He's only got, I think, 1 top 10 on the season or 1 top 5 or something like that. So, yeah, I don't dislike LaJoie. Once again, he's had his flashes, but what he did yesterday was just silly. He shouldn't have done that. He shouldn't have been that aggressive. I know it's the restart. You're fighting for every inch, and it's Pocono where you can go 4 or 5 wide, and then you got to narrow it back down for the turn. But that was a pretty dumb move, if you ask me. So, once again, I was not a fan of it. And, yeah, I think there should have been some sort of, I don't want to call for suspension, but it's, to me, at least, it looked a little bit intentional. And just the aftermath and what, but I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't a Bubba Wallace on Kyle Larson. It wasn't a Chase Elliott on Denny Hamlin or anything like that, but it was ugly. I'll just say that. It was ugly. It was an ugly moment. Not fun, not a good time, and just ultimately, yeah, just not a fan of that move by LaJoie. LaJoie's going to be working at Chili's after this. In between the lines. That's an underrated comment. Yeah, once again, he's not losing his ride this year. I saw so many people on Twitter calling for his head. Like, okay, guys, he made one stupid mistake. He made one stupid move. Let's not call for his head quite yet. It's not that bad. But as I said, next year's the year for LaJoie. If he can't perform under Rodney Childers, that might be it for him. Ultimately, LaJoie, he's been in the Cup Series a while now. He's been with Spire for a while, and if he has one of the best crew chiefs in the garage, an all-time great crew chief with him, and can't do anything with it, and once again, I'm not asking him to go win 4 races next year. Honestly, the playoffs might even be a stretch for Spire. The field is so competitive right now. Next year, especially, it's going to be really competitive with Front Row being a Tier 1 team and having 3 cars. Hendrick is always, Gibbs is always, 2311. 2311 expanding, Trackhouse expanding. You lose SHR, but as I said, that kind of redistributes itself in terms of Front Row, Trackhouse, 2311. If Legacy takes a big step forward. So there's a lot of potential in terms of who could make the playoffs, but LaJoie's got to be more consistent. He's got to consistently be top 20. Get a top 10 every 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe even compete for a top 5 and win. But next year is the big year for LaJoie, if you ask me. Plus, that's the year his contract is up, so, you got that going. We went through that. Would you say Pocono has a road course type strategy, or does the track act like a road course? I mean, for the strategy, for sure, I would say, in between the lanes, just because, well, you can pit with 2 to go in the stage and not get lapped and cycle back out to the front. So from that aspect, it's like a road course. It used to be more like a road course in terms of you shifted a lot during the lap, but obviously it doesn't race like a road course. So some aspects, yes, some aspects, no. I'd lean more towards the no, though. I'd say just more the strategy leans towards that. But back in the day when you were shifting, it was like the only oval you shifted at. Then, yeah, I would say maybe you could argue that, but it's too different in terms of the actual racing. But the strategy, as you said, for sure. Likelihood of Denny Hamlin winning his first championship this year. Here's the thing. This championship format is such a crapshoot in a sense. And this year, all right, let's pull it up. I've got it here. Let's look at this playoff schedule this year. I mean, just look at this playoff schedule this year. If I can get the, oh no, is this going to be a pop-up ad? Please no. Oh. Not right now, please. I'm on a live stream, but thank you. Look at this playoff schedule. Super Speedway, Road Course, Bristol, which Bristol, by the way, is a wild card in its own because, the leader can get wrecked by a lapped car because Bristol is so tight and short. Next round, Kansas is a normal track. Then you go Talladega, Roval, 2 wild cards again, and then you get a little bit more normal. So if you can make it to the round of 8, who asked that? Jamie. If Denny can get to the round of 8, yeah, he has a great chance of winning this championship. And I know everyone's going to clown him because he can't win a championship. He has the same amount of championships as me. The common jokes about Denny Hamlin, blah, blah, blah. But if he gets to that round of 8, he has a fantastic shot at winning the championship. And here is why. And by the way, next week I'm making an announcement about the normal, every year, if you're a longtime subscriber, every year we make a championship case for all 16 playoff drivers. 1 week from today, during the Monday after Indianapolis, I will have an announcement regarding that. Just thought I'd throw that teaser out there to the 10 of you who are watching. But anyways, as for Denny Hamlin's championship, if Denny Hamlin can get to this round of 8, Vegas, 1.5 miles, Homestead, 1.5 miles, Toyota's great at the 1.5 miles. They're great at the intermediate tracks. Denny ran top 5, top 10 at Vegas in the spring. Homestead, he was leading laps, running top 5 last year before ultimately he had that tire failure, that mechanical failure that cost him to wreck. And then Martinsville's one of his best tracks. He's won there 5, 6 times. And then also he ran great there in the spring. He ran top 5 all day. I know Hendrick got a 1, 2, 3. But Denny Hamlin won a stage in that race. He led 70, 80 laps, something like that. And he could have had a great shot at the win if he cycled out the leader in the pit lane. So I'd say if Denny Hamlin with I'm going to do this on my phone because I want you to look at the playoff schedule. Denny Hamlin currently has 3 wins, so that's 50. He has 20 playoff points. And I'd say he's going to finish 4th in the regular season at the absolute worst. So that's 7 extra points at the worst. So he's going to have a good amount of playoff points. And I'd expect him to run 5th, top 5 to top 10 here, top 5 here, competing for the win here. And if he gets to Phoenix, do you remember how good Toyota was at Phoenix in the spring? Christopher Bell won. Toyota led all but like 20 laps. Denny Hamlin led a bunch of laps. Ty Gibbs led laps. Tyler Reddick, I think, led laps, I want to say. Maybe it was Truex. I can't remember. But point being, Toyota is much better at the short track. So if Hamlin can make that Final Four this year, he has a great shot of winning his first championship, as you asked Jamie. Chase Elliott had winning speed yesterday. Yeah, that's something I've talked about all season long, is that Chase Elliott has been the most consistent driver in the field in terms of finishing races, consistently being top 10. But his biggest problem is he can get to the top 5 every couple of weeks, but he has not had winning speed. Texas, he had winning speed, and yes, he won the race, but I would say he was 3rd best that day, but still, as I said, he had winning speed when it mattered. Martinsville, he had straight up winning speed. Him, Larson, Byron, Hamlin, they were the guys that day. Outside of that, I couldn't tell you when Chase Elliott had winning speed this year other than yesterday. And that's why I was so disappointed with Chase Elliott's result, is because they were one of the few cars that could slice through the field no matter how far back they were, whether they were 25th, 16th. They could make their way back into the top 5, back into the top 10. And if they got out front, I was convinced that they would run away. So that was one of the few times Chase Elliott had winning speed. Maybe Denny was a little bit better than him. But that's why yesterday was disappointing on the result side, is that they should have had a top 5. They should have been competing for the win, but the speeding penalty killed their day. So Chase Elliott finally has winning speed for the first time in months, and they can't do anything with it because of a penalty. So, as I said, Chase Elliott, they just haven't had enough winning speed, but they've been good enough that if this was the Winston format, they would have this is a 2003 Matt Kenseth year. He has 1 win on the season. He hasn't been dominating. He hasn't even been leading a lot of laps, but they've been doing enough to get the consistent results to put themselves in contention for the championship, or in this case, the regular season championship. Let's get over here. Wonder why Penske doesn't ghost fund a second Wood Brothers charter team. Legal reasons would be my guess. I'm sure somehow, if the other teams did enough digging, they could find the connections. But with all the alliances these days, with the small teams to the big teams, and Jeremy Bullins is the crew chief over there, and he's literally a Penske guy. As you said, I don't know, but I'm sure it's a cost thing or a legal thing if I had to guess out of nowhere. So that's my best guess. So, but yes, I mean, just this playoff schedule is just ridiculous this year. The playoffs are ridiculous in general. That's a rant for, I'd argue that's a rant for every day, but you guys don't need to hear me rant about that for the 1000th time. Let's look at the playoff standings here. Actually, first, I lied. Let's look at the fantasy standings, because someone won the race this week. For the first time ever, look at the race results. Look who won the race this week. I'm way too proud of myself for this, but I've never won a fantasy league race before in any league as long as I've been doing this, so this is a miracle. This is Trevor Bayne winning the 2011 Daytona 500. I won Pocono in fantasy. Wrap up the season. I won't do anything else with it, but I want to race this season. I got that to go off of. Here was my beautiful lineup. That was not my beautiful lineup. Here was my beautiful lineup of Larson, Hamlin, Truex, Byron, Bell. Gibbs was on the bench. I'm glad I kept him on the bench because that oil, the car blowing up and spilling oil, ended up ruining his day. But let's look at the league standings. Big Hat LJ leading once again. These two have been killing it this year. There was a bit, Pins _22. I remember when you were in like the 6th to 10th range, and you have very much climbed your way up through the field. Zerkman95. It's not been a pretty summer for you. I remember you were up there competing for this championship with Big Hat LJ and Dan, the Jets fan. Coming back down, I moved up to 6th. I think that's the highest I've been this year. I couldn't tell you, but I'm pretty sure that sounds right. RT Racing, It Factor Autosport Incorporated, Matt Smith 53, Hell on Wheels 24, all the way down to 45 and 2311 fan, and Shane Van Hamburger Buns. There has been no movement there for weeks. I'm pretty sure they forgot they were doing fantasy. So if you are Shane Van Hamburger Buns or 45 and 2311 fan, set your lineup this week. It's Indianapolis. Your guess is as good as mine, and this feels like a great transition. Never mind, because I have to do the playoff standings first. Chase Elliott is your points leader. So despite, as I said, what, in my opinion, was a disappointing result for the 9 team, they lead the points once again by a whole 3 points. Chase Elliott leads it over Kyle Larson, but not by much. As I said, 3 points. And then once again, not by much over Tyler Reddick. And then Denny Hamlin's right there. And William Byron is still within a race. So we've got 5 guys within a race of each other with only 5 races until the regular season is over. What a championship battle we could be having. We could have a 4-way fight for the championship. 5-way if you add Byron. But no. Let's do the playoffs instead. That's a rant for the other day. But as I said, Chase Elliott is your points leader. That is going to get him the majority of his playoff points. If he ends up, of course, winning that regular season championship, I just think, I know they've been so consistent, but looking at the schedule, Larson, Hamlin will have a great, Reddick will have a great chance at winning Michigan. Elliott's been better at the intermediates, but once again, they just haven't shown enough winning speed for me to be confident in them to win. So, and here's where the next problem is that Larson crashes a lot, or they have a lot of DNFs. Reddick has been actually he's been sneaking up there. Like, he was more than 100 points out of this thing about a month ago, I want to say. Maybe it was a little bit more than that, but Reddick's been running so well. I would say Reddick's the favorite right now, honestly. I'd go Reddick, Larson, Elliott, Hamlin as the favorites. Because, I don't know. That's a complete guess. But there's your regular season championship update. Here's your top 10 in the points. So if the regular season were to end today, Alex Bowman gets a bonus point, Brad gets 2, Bell 3, Blaney 4, Truex 5, Byron 6, Hamlin 7, Reddick 8, Larson 10, and Elliott would get the 15 juicy bonus points. Looking at the playoff picture here today, here are your guys who are locked in. This is not updated because this is from last night. It's still not updating. All right, so how do I update this? Let's try this. Oh, is that a Prosper, Texas reference? I think that's a Prosper, Texas reference. Anyways, sorry, something shiny. Please work this time. You've got the regular season points there. Why can't you update the playoff? Okay. Give me a second. Give me a second here, and I will pull up the playoff standings. Let me pull up the playoffs. You guys are going to have to look at a blank screen for a second because ultimately, I don't know what Twitter's going to have up here when I pull it up. And that's a terrifying thought of showing you guys what's on Twitter. So I'm just going to get these point standings, and here we go. Okay, I've got it now. All right, cool. All right, you can see my screen again. Ready, and boom. There are your playoff standings. Guys, I know my face is covering Todd Gilliland. He's 127 points out. He's got to win to get in, but obviously we got 12 guys in. Truex is in a good spot. Gibbs is in a decent spot. If someone else wins, he's not in the greatest spot. And then Buescher and Chastain are sweating it out. So there's your playoff standings. I did all that effort just to show you that. But there you go. Get a good look at it. Everyone else has to win. Even I would say Bubba. But back to the comments. How many first-time winners before the playoffs? Fantastic question, Jamie. Indianapolis could be fuel mileage, so maybe one. Maybe there's one there. But realistically, I think Byron, Larson, Hamlin, it could be their day at Indy. Going down the line, Richmond, maybe Josh Berry, but that's about the only upset I could see there is a Berry or Brisco. Outside of that, Richmond will have a normal winner. Michigan will have a normal winner. Larson, Reddick, something like that. And then Daytona. Daytona, I think we're going to get a wacky winner there. Let's see, looking at the past few Daytona races, this year's Daytona 500 was a normal winner in Byron. The fall Daytona last year, Buescher, that was a normal winner. Daytona 500 was Ricky Stenhouse. So it's been 2-3 races since we've had a weird winner at Daytona. That's long enough of a break for me. So yeah, let's do it. Let's say we're going to have a wacky winner there. I'll go with Todd Gilliland for now because I'm a big believer in Todd. And also he's just been doing really good this year, especially on the super speedway. So I'll say Todd at Daytona. So 1. And maybe Truex. Like maybe Truex is a first-time winner in 2024. Truex would win at Richmond maybe. So I'll say Truex at Richmond, and then I'll go Todd at Daytona. Those are your 2 new winners in 2024. Why do they break for the Olympics? Asks Ben. Good question. They are doing a break for the Olympics because NBC covers both the Olympics and NASCAR at this time of the year. And so they don't want to overlap in a sense. And also it's just good for the teams and the drivers to have breaks. They've been going at this thing for, 20 straight weeks now. I don't think they've had a single off week yet, unless I'm forgetting the off week. I think we've gone consecutive weeks without a break. So the teams, the drivers, they desperately need a break. They've got 2 weeks here to just kind of settle down, relax, chill for a bit before going back to the track. So ultimately, it's a bit of a TV thing, and then also they just haven't had a break yet this year. But TV, majority. Bubba's trophy room looks like dark and empty. Bubba Wallace has 2 cup wins and like 5 truck wins. So I think he's got a few trophies in there. Kyle Busch winning Daytona would be crazy. Austin Dillon helping him. Hey, you never know. We saw Tyler Reddick push Austin Dillon to a win. So RCR, they can be good teammates when they want to be. But I've got no idea what's going to happen at Daytona. It's not the cutoff race anymore. It will be probably again at some point. But realistically, Daytona's going to be the last chance for a lot of guys. So they're going to be pushing. They're going to be wrecking because Darlington's just too difficult to win at. So, yeah, man. Daytona, I think, is going to be completely – because here's the thing. Let's go back to the point standings. I'm going to point out to you every single person who I think can win Daytona. Or has like a shot. I'm not going to say they're a favorite, but coming down this list, Bubba Wallace has won at a super speedway in his career. He is currently out. Chase Briscoe, they've got the equipment. They could win. Kyle Busch has won at Daytona. He's a champion. He's won at a super speedway in the next gen era with RCR. It could very well be him. Austin Cindric's won at Daytona. Todd Gilliland, as I said, has been great at the super speedways this year. Josh Berry, he has the equipment, kind of like Briscoe. McDowell has won at Daytona. Hocevar has been good this year. He could pull off the shock as a rookie. Gregson has the equipment. Stenhouse has won at Daytona. Eric Jones has won at Daytona. Ryan Preece has the equipment. Daniel Hemrick might be where I draw the line, but I will say it is a super speedway. Colleague has run up front at the super speedway, so maybe. Justin Haley's won at Daytona. I can't believe that I'm saying that Justin Haley has a better chance to win than a Colleague car. Corey LaJoie's done good at the super speedways. He could shock the world. John Hunter Nemechek, he's had a few good runs, so maybe. Austin Dillon's won multiple times at Daytona. That's about it. Yeah, we'll stop there. We'll stop there. So on this list, I'd say guys to win Daytona. We got our regulars, so we'll go the first top. I'll say the top 30 in points. Minus, I'm so mean. Minus Daniel Hemrick. So I'll say 29 guys have a legit possibility of winning Daytona. If Daniel Hemrick wins Daytona despite me, I will come on the Monday after and I will call Daniel Hemrick the greatest driver of all time. So you got that to look forward to if Daniel Hemrick wins at Daytona. Oh my God, if that happens. Just a joke. You don't hate Bubba rooting for him to make the playoffs? Yeah. Yeah, I hope he does. It'd be a great confidence boost for him. Obviously made it last year, but this year's been a little bit disappointing, I would say. But Michigan's coming up. That's a great track for him. He's got a pole there. Should have had a win there 2 years ago. Just ultimately didn't work out. But I think Michigan's a great chance for him to win. Darlington, maybe. I'd say top 5, maybe. But I think Michigan's his best shot at winning, if you ask me, honestly. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the return of the Brickyard 400. What time? 5:47. We got plenty of time. The Brickyard 400. I love the Brickyard 400. Indianapolis is a great track. It's a great historic track. Oh my goodness. They really want me to add this to my schedule. I don't want an advertisement. Thank you very much, though. The Indianapolis Oval is back. I am so happy. It's a historic track. NASCAR has been there for 30 years now. Just so much history in this racetrack. I know the racing quality isn't exactly top tier in NASCAR, but as I said, the history of the track, it's a crown jewel if you ask me. I know we took a couple of years away from it, but the Brickyard 400 is a crown jewel. It always will be if you ask me. I love this track. I love this race. And ultimately, yeah, I'm just very excited to have it back. Don't get me wrong, the road course experiment was fun, but I wish we kept the oval in some way, shape, or form. But ultimately, that is not how it went down. We had to sit out of the oval for a couple of years. But ultimately, we're back. We're back at the Indianapolis Oval. I don't know what to expect. We've got a completely new generation of car at this track. Xfinity is going to be the most unpredictable because the majority of those guys have never raced on the Indianapolis Oval. Cup, you look at Cup and, Kyle Busch has won there a couple times. Denny Hamlin has run there a bunch. Keselowski's won there. Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, they've run multiple races there. Even Byron's run a race there. Bowman's run races there. So I'd say about half the field has experience at the Brickyard. But you get to hosts of ours never run at the oval at Indianapolis. Chastain has, but he's never done it in the equipment he currently has. Hendrick, I don't think ever has. I don't think Brisco ever has. If you just go down the list, you can find plenty of guys. So I think from that aspect, it'll be a little bit more unpredictable. But at the end of the day, I think the favorite's Hamlin. Denny Hamlin has talked about how badly he wants to win this race, this being the only thing other than a championship that he so badly wants to win. And so I'd say he's the favorite. In fact, let's see what does Las Vegas have to say. If Las Vegas says it, it must be true. Get the Caesars Sportsbook out. Get you some odds. They got the entry list out, so surely they have. They don't have the odds out yet. That's a little surprising. It's a little late in the day for them not having them. It's whatever. But I would expect Denny Hamlin to be the favorite. I'd expect Kyle Larson to be second. But here's a trend for you. 1994 was the first Brickyard 400. Jeff Gordon won it. 2004 was the 10-year anniversary. Jeff Gordon won that one. 2014, the 20-year anniversary. Jeff Gordon won that. Guess what year it is? 2024. Jeff Gordon is winning the Brickyard 400 this year. No one disputed it, so it must happen. So there are different aspects you could look at that. So the first aspect I look at is the 24 car is undefeated in years that end in 4 at the Brickyard. So I would say William Byron. However, today I learned tragically that Hendrick has opted to run Byron in the Valvoline car and not the DuPont or now Exalta 24 at the Brickyard, in which Jeff Gordon had so much success, especially in the years that ended in 4. But no, Hendrick Motorsports said, let's put Valvoline on the car this weekend. Let's put Valvoline on the 24 at the track that always did good in Exalta DuPont. Obviously, there's no real correlation to that. That's just me spewing things out. But it's a valid theory. So then we go to our plan B, which is Jeff Gordon co-owns the 48 car. Alex Bowman's going to win. And that's how Jeff Gordon keeps his streak alive in years that end at 4. All right, enough of the conspiracy theories. I'll be serious here for a minute. My preseason pick was William Byron because of that whole 24 ending years that end in 4. But I will say, with how much Denny Hamlin has talked about, how much he wants to win at the Brickyard, the bad luck he's had, he's blown a tire out of the lead with a handful of laps to go. He has got passed on the last lap. He's had so much go wrong for him in this race. The first race back in the next gen era. He got to test at this racetrack. He's put so much emphasis on it. No, I'm sticking with Byron. I'm sticking with the trend. I stick with the trends. Denny Hamlin will probably end up winning and just make me regret not picking him. But I'm sticking with the trend. William Byron is my Monday pick. My Monday pick is in. William Byron continues Jeff Gordon's trend. The 24 wins at Indianapolis in a year that ends in 4. So I'm curious to hear everyone, the 10 of you watching right now, who's your Brickyard 400 pick? I got a Joey Logano up there from Jamie. That's a very good pick, and here's why. If you are a conspiracy theorist and you believe that Roger Penske, who owns the track, is going to rig it, there you go. Joey Logano's going to win. No, but for real, though, Logano's come close a couple of times to winning the Brickyard 400. It's never been his best track, but I remember 2015 or 2016, maybe both of those years, he was really close to beating Kyle Busch. But Joey Logano is great at new racetracks. You look at the North Wilkesboro repave. You look at the LA Clash at the Coliseum. You look at Gateway. You look at the Bristol Dirt Track. When there's a new track, Joey Logano somehow figures it out. He figures out how to get it done. And yes, the majority of this field has run at the Brickyard before, but not a lot of guys, only 5-6 guys have run at the Brickyard in the next-gen car. So Joey Logano, he's going to have a great opportunity ahead of him, and also the extra pressure of having Roger Penske, who owns this track, owns this facility. You race for Roger Penske, there's going to be a lot of added pressure. So I think Joey Logano's a great pick. I think that's a great pick. David thinks it's going to be a Hendrick guy, it appears. So, yeah, Hendrick always fast everywhere. And then obviously a very strong history at the Brickyard. 5 wins from Gordon, 4 from Jimmy Johnson, 1 from Casey Kane. I don't know if Terry ever won there with them, but they got a strong history at the Brickyard. Mike says, really feel for Kyle Busch. Seems he can't catch a break. Yeah, we talked about it earlier. Just everything that can go wrong has gone wrong, which just ultimately at the end of the day sucks for him. But they've just been dealt a really bad hand right now. But this is your entry list for the Cup side of things. I'm very curious to what this is. Josh Berry, sponsored by Panini and Caitlin Clark. I know Caitlin Clark. She plays for Indiana in the WNBA. I don't know if this is going to be like her face on the paint scheme or what, but I don't know. Gamebridge on the 7 this week. No real surprise there, just due to Gamebridge, their strong presence in Indianapolis. Cheddar's Patriotic on the 8 car. What if that's what solves their problems? They haven't run the Cheddar's Patriotic scheme this year yet. What if that's what solved their problems, running the Cheddar's Patriotic scheme? That would be ironic. Let's Let's see here. Denny Hamlin's in the sports clip car. Okay. Is the sports clip car cursed? Let me think. Trying to think. When's the last time Denny won in the sports clips car? I guess the Clash, so yeah, it's not that cursed. Brisco in the high point. Could you imagine if Stewart Haas Racing's last win was with Chase Briscoe at Indianapolis? That would be crazy because Chase Briscoe himself has the ties to Indianapolis, being from Indiana. Tony Stewart's connections to Indianapolis and being from Indiana. The 14 car. That'd be quite the story. Cody Ware's in the 15 this week. Cool. We've got... Oh, Christopher Bell's in the Ream car. He's only won in Ream this year, so. As I said, the 24 is Valvoline. That might be cursed. That might be the reason he doesn't win. If he doesn't win, I'm blaming Valvoline, so. Get ready to get blamed, Valvoline. Who else is in this? BJ McLeod's racing for MBM this week. Get loud for McLeod, ladies and gentlemen. And Jimmy Johnson's in the field this week trying to tie Jeff Gordon on the all-time wins list at the Brickyard. Jeff Gordon with 5 wins, Jimmy Johnson with 4. The likelihood of it happening is very low, but if it's a fuel mileage race and Jimmy keeps it in one piece, you never know. But there you go. Now let's go to Xfinity, the Xfinity entry list. Xfinity. Oh, yeah. JD Motorsports no longer exists. They shut down their operations, so I hope you're not a JD Motorsports fan. Yeah, sad to hear anytime a race team closes. Thought I'd touch on this here. For sure sad anytime a team shuts down. They had to file for bankruptcy. But, you know, they've started a lot of careers. They've had Ross Chastain in their past. That was the big one that I can think of. But as I said, always tragic to see a team shut down, so you hate to see it. But, yeah, hoping that they can maybe get back on their feet. But if that's it, then sorry to hear that. But here's the Xfinity list. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Back in the 15 car is Josh Berry. Joe Graff Jr.'s in the 19. I forgot he existed, to be honest with you. Eric Almirola is back from suspension, baby. Connor Daly is running in the Indianapolis Oval. He has IndyCar experience at this track. SVG is in the WeatherTech car, so there you go there. Other than that, nothing really too crazy about this entry list. Back to the comments. Thoughts on switching the Coca-Cola 600 to the championship race? I know. Charlotte, maybe giving Charlotte the championship race, that would be nice with this next-gen car being great at mile and a half, but don't move the 600. 600 is a crown jewel. It's known for Memorial Day weekend. Keep the 600 there. The only problem with your theory, though, is that SMI, I don't think SMI ever gets the championship date in this format. NASCAR has always had the championship date in this format, whether it's Homestead or Phoenix. When I say NASCAR, I mean NASCAR-owned tracks. Homestead, Phoenix. Whether it's Homestead again. So if it changes, it's going to be a NASCAR-owned track, so don't get your hopes up on Charlotte just because it's SMI. Last time the 48 won the Brickyard 400 was 2012. Yeah. That was Jimmy's last Brickyard. It's kind of crazy. Gordon's last one was 2014, but then again, he only raced one more after that. Or two more. I forgot. Jeff Gordon was in the 2016 Brickyard 400 subbing for Dale Jr. But, yeah, 48. No, Jimmy Johnson never got close again except for that time he wrecked himself out of the lead when his car was blowing up. But, yeah. Well, this is your weekend schedule. I'll give you a scroll of this before... I was about to say, God almighty, ARCA is at the Brickyard, but no, thank God it's at IRP. They're with the trucks at IRP. We got a quadruple header. We got ARCA, trucks, Xfinity, Cup. We got an hour-long practice. That's a big deal, just because it's a new track in a sense. Xfinity, there you go. Cup, Should be fun. Hello, Get Me Today Tech. Hope you're doing well. What happened to the property NASCAR bought in New York City in the 90s for a track? I had no idea that was a thing, so Google's your friend on that one. I wish I could tell you more about that, Jamie. Got to be honest with you. Could not tell you a single thing about that. Did not know that was in existence. But, all right then. Well, guys, it's been a fun Monday. I got to get going here. I appreciate all of you showing up. We had a lot of fun talking about Pocono, the LaJoie incident, talking about everything that happened. Kyle Busch's bad luck continues. I don't even know if we talked about the race winner, Ryan Blaney. Looking at the playoff standings, looking forward to the Brickyard 400. Then we got a little bit of a break. But thanks again for showing up. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Jamie, especially appreciative of you today. Very appreciative of the, once again, I don't know what to properly call it, donation, tip, super chat thingy, but I really do appreciate it. But yeah, have a great rest of your day, night, morning, wherever you guys are, and hope to see you guys soon, later, wherever it may be. Videos this week, and then the Brickyard.